Welcome to another edition of Leave It in the Ring Boxing. I got Blood, my boy, my man, and I got my boy, the body banger, Buddha. What's going on, Buddha?
Banger, what's up, fellas? What's up, boxing world?
I want to get into a topic, man, that I know for a fact this is something that especially the body banger wants to get right into. Joe Calzaghe retires, man. Come on, give me your input. What do you think?
Calzaghe retiring. Smart for him. Probably smart for his fans. On the flip side, his critics are still going to say, why not Chad Dawson? Why not Jermaine Taylor? Why not give Hopkins his deserved rematch? So, at the end of the day, the next generation and the generation after that is going to be the real people who decide how to carry his legacy on.
What do you say about that, Blood?
Yeah, man. I think it's his time to retire. I don't think there's nothing wrong with him retiring. I would have liked to have seen him fight Chad Dawson, or even most people would say that it ain't a big money fight, but I would have liked to see him fight Glenn Johnson. Some of the, there's a couple of fights out there for him, but there's no reason for him to continue fighting if he doesn't feel like he needs to continue fighting. He did what he had to do.
But in all reality, Buddha, why do you feel that Joe Calzaghe would need to fight Chad Dawson or even give a Bernard Hopkins a rematch?
Because he left some unfinished business on the table with Bernard Hopkins. That was a close fight, and it could have went either way. Some people feel Bernard Hopkins won that fight, so it wasn't really a fan-friendly fight. So I don't really see no point in fighting Hopkins again, but I would like to see him fight the exciting new fighter in the division, Chad Dawson. If I'm not mistaken, Dawson is fighting Tarver again. Like, who the hell wants to see Dawson fight Tarver again? That's some real bullshit right there. They could make some better fights out there.
What do you think, Buddha?
Well, the thing is that, Calzaghe, honestly, prior to him fighting Roy Jones, man, a lot of people still didn't know who he was. Now, of course, you're the type of person that watches boxing probably really started picking him on Joe Calzaghe maybe within the last 2 years. But I'm talking about the everyday household person. Over in the UK, and on the Eastern Hemisphere, they know who Joe Calzaghe is. But as far as I take it back to, unfortunately for the entire boxing world, HBO, Showtime, guys like that, cutting shows like that, they still run the boxing world. They didn't promote Joe Calzaghe like that throughout his whole career. So, he's got a name now, but if I'm walking down the street and I'm like, hey, how you doing, ma'am? What do you think about Joe Calzaghe's record? She's going to be like, who? What sport is that? Who is he? Basketball.
Yeah. You're right. Over here, he's not really a big name, and a lot of people are always going to look at the fact that he beat Hopkins and Jones when they were past their prime.
Now, is that his fault, though?
He beat Lacey, he beat Kessler. So those are some good solid wins for him. But people are going to always criticize the fact that he could have did more. It's one of them situations again.
But is that his fault, though, guys? Is it Joe Calzaghe's fault that he fought a out of prime Roy Jones Jr. or an not nearly out of prime Bernard Hopkins, and he fought a Mikkel Kessler who was coming up and experience-wise he didn't have it there fully yet, or a overhyped Jeff Lacey? Is that Joe Calzaghe's fault, Buddha?
Well, you're about to open up a whole other can of worms, man. Part of it is, man. I get. You've heard me say it before. I really get tired of fighters not standing up to their promoters more. And if you look at Calzaghe's record,
we're talking about Frank Warner, right? When he was signed with Frank Warner.
Absolutely. He's his own man. At the end of the day, your boss is your boss. But at the same time, your employee is who's making you money. You know what I'm saying? And you look at Claudia right now. He's out there basically yelling how Aaron is not really promoting him right. He's speaking his mind, and I really appreciate that. Now, honestly, if you look at Calzaghe's record, not to strip it and diminish it because the man got 46 wins, but if you look at his record, he does have some opponents that he faced that were not that impressive. A lot. a lot. And that's just a fact. So is it his fault? In one way, no. But on the other hand, it is. You look at 147. 147 is dominating right now. Those guys are taking on some challenges, man. Your Margaritos, your Cottos, they're repeating what Leonard and those guys did back in the 80s.
Right.
Hagler, Hearns, Leonard, they all fought each other. They didn't hesitate. And that is not what we saw from Calzaghe, regardless of what people say as far as, he begged Roy 10 years ago. Well, Roy said he would fight him if he came to the U.S., so you can go back and forth. At the end of the day, though, he's got 46 wins. He wasn't a bad fighter by any means. I don't mean that, but to put him above some of the all-time greats, like some folks do, I think is a tad bit over-exaggerated. And he might come back. He very well could come back.
But, Buddha, the only thing is that you're saying as an employee, he should have stood up to his employer. That's like asking a bagger at a grocery store to stand to his employer and say, hey, I want more, when I'm not even generating the numbers at the particular moment to do yet. So, could it be in fairness to say that he didn't have the star power at that particular moment for the United States or the whole world to view this guy and to view the greatness that the UK guys are seeing right now and trying to, pushing in the American face? I mean, is that fair to say?
10 years ago, sure, he may have not had as much weight, but after he beat Chris Eubank, that's when he had enough weight to say, okay.
Why would you think he would have more weight by defeating the Chris Eubank?
Because Chris Eubank, he was a well-recognized individual, especially over there, and that is also when Roy Jones actually came out of his mouth and mentioned Joe Calzaghe as well. So if Roy Jones can mention your name, and you just beat a guy like Chris Eubank, and you're mentioning Roy Jones' name, it seems to me as though he was protected that his promoter wouldn't let him fight. I don't have anything else to assume. If Roy's saying, yeah, I'll fight you, and he's saying, yeah, I want to fight you, and I just beat Chris Eubank, but then why would we fight? Maybe it's because my promoter is being careful. So, that's when you just gotta stand up, and speak to your promoter, or just come out and say it like Claudie's saying, hey, they won't let me fight. You guys saw the Vic the other night after his fight with Arce.
Right.
I want to fight him again. No, his trainer, no, we're not going to do that. We're not going to do that. So, but I really appreciated Vic saying that, because it takes the pressure off of him.
Absolutely.
So, I see what you're saying, and it is what it is, man. Like I said, the next generation, they're the ones that's going to really.
Now, what burns you guys more? The fact that a Joe Calzaghe retires undefeated and not being tested, his legacy as to the American public, or is this like on a personal level where he beat your guy and you're pissed off about it?
No, not at all. It's if you look at when Mike Tyson beat Larry Holmes, man, he was just like, you know what, I beat him, but if I fought him in his day, I wouldn't have stood a chance. I don't dislike Calzaghe. I was rooting for Roy. At the end of the day, I'm still a fan. I was pulling for Roy and rooting for him. That's just it's been my boy since I was a youngster, man, back in middle school, whatever. But so obviously I was pulling for him. So no, it's just that we look at Hector Camacho, the way he beat up Sugar Ray Leonard so bad.
Right.
Yeah, fighters, one thing that's funny is that fighters peak at different stages in their career. Whereas I think Roy Jones peaked at a younger age than Calzaghe did. And at the time when Calzaghe could have fought Jones 10 years prior, he just wasn't ready for Jones. He's only about 3 or 4 years younger, but at that time, I just don't believe he was ready for Jones. So I think his promoters, his managers, they did a good thing to protect him, because at that time, I believe Roy Jones would have whooped that ass.
So,
and it's back to what me and Brandon were talking about, man. Prime is not always about age, but it's not always about. Look at Bernard Hopkins at 42. Look how he, and I'm gonna step outside of boxing real quick. You look at somebody weightlifting. Look at Ronnie Coleman. He was a world champion at 42 years old. So sometimes prime is not always age, but it's the fire in you. It's the will to keep going. It's the will to feel like you're 21 years old in your head. You know what I mean? You can have a guy, you can have, again, outside of boxing, you can have a 26-year-old G who's just like, man, I've been gangbanging since I was 16, and I'm 28. I'm an old head now. I can't do that type of stuff no more. But in reality, he's only 28. He's a youngster, but it's a mental and spiritual connection when you get in that ring as far as prime. So there was 30, 36, and 39. I think Roy was close to 40. I mean, you know, it's.
Hey, bro, I got a question for you. I know you like Roy Jones a lot. What do you think about him signing the fight, Omar Sheikha, man?
You know what? I don't know a whole lot about Omar. I've seen him maybe once or twice on TV. I'm trying to find more footage of him.
He's heavy-handed.
Honestly, I didn't recognize his name until I pulled his picture up. I said, oh, yeah, that guy right there. Roy.
Yeah, he got knocked out by Calzaghe some years ago, too.